The Hocus Pocus house could be yours for a few nights. We'll explain coming up. Plus, I talk with the one and only Sigourney Weaver about her newest film, The Good House. And Nobel Prize laureate Malala Yousafzai is driving change in Hollywood by advocating for more representation. That's all coming up on Advocate Today. Hi there. Welcome to Advocate Today. Thank you for joining me. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist, and there's a lot to cover, so we're going to get right into it. There's a new listing on Airbnb, and it's arriving just in time for a spooky season. LGBTQ plus audiences and others have long loved Hocus Pocus. Now, you can stay at the Sanderson Sisters Cottage this Halloween. And don't worry, it won't haunt you and your guest. The creepy abode, located in the remote woods of Salem, Massachusetts, is available on Airbnb. It was recreated in honor of Hocus Pocus 2, which is now streaming on Disney+. Guests can try their hands at enchantments from the Sisters Spellbook, but it likely won't turn anyone into a cat. 2 guests can stay at the cottage for an exclusive stay on October 20th for just $31. The listing opens on Airbnb on October 12th at 1 p.m. A new movie starring icon Sigourney Weaver takes place on Boston's North Shore, where a high-end real estate agent is forced to reckon with her demons. The Advocate Channel's David Daniel has a preview.
I was a top broker on the North Shore.
And if everything had gone according to plan, I'd be fine. That's not what happened.
Sigourney Weaver plays a woman who's suddenly struggling in The Good House.
Hildy's a very complex person who, luckily she's a lot of fun, but she's at a point in her life when all the things that have worked for her suddenly aren't working anymore. And her husband's left her, she's been in rehab. Well, if we're really gonna do this, I need a drink.
Oh my God.
Mom! The whole point. Kidding.
Weaver says she loved getting to break the fourth wall.
You know, you see Hildy go home, sit down on the couch, unhook her bra, and open a bottle of Pinot Noir, and then she starts to really tell you what's going on. In my mind, wine is not really drinking. Vodka definitely is. It was just one of the most challenging things and most fun things I've ever gotten to do.
And reunite on screen with co-star Kevin Kline.
I was so thrilled because, you know, he creates this solid, authentic, hunky guy who doesn't care what people think. For Hildy, who cares so much what people think, it's like such a revelation for her. I feel like myself with you. Usually I only feel like myself when I have a drink in my hand.
In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
Are you dating?
Thank you, David. I've long been a fan of Sigourney Weaver since Alien and Gorillas in the Mist. And now I had the honor of speaking with the legend all about the new film and why its themes of alcohol abuse hit close to home. I want to start by saying that I really enjoyed this film. I thought when I started watching it, it would be a comedy. There were some great, really good jokes in the beginning, and then it really touched me. And one of the things that touched me was this idea of generational trauma and kind of numbing that with, you know, Hildy with her alcoholism. And I wonder if you would talk a little bit about excavating that, because it's something that we don't hear very often.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was one of the most interesting things for me too, because I have alcohol use disorder, I think we're supposed to call it, in my family as well. And one of the reasons I was drawn to Hildy's story was that, you know, in the beginning, you see this woman working so hard, keeping up this brave front, taking care of everybody else. Yeah. And if she wants to go home at the end of the day and kick back and have a couple of glasses of Pinot Noir, who were we to begrudge her, right? See, I felt as someone who watched people drinking in my family, you do want them to feel like themselves. You do want them to be able to relax, get some solace, you know, just let their hair down. And so because she talks to the audience, you're kind of like at the bar with her, hearing her side. Mm-hmm. And I think we stay at the bar with her a little too long because we realize just before she does that this is getting out of control.
Yeah, and it's heartbreaking to be hit with that as the viewer, but so important. And also, I think the film does this great job of tapping into the idea that alcohol is so institutionalized in our lives, and to be a person who decides to walk a path of sobriety is to decide almost to be an outsider. Because it's so ingrained in all of our celebrations. And I wonder if you talk a little bit about that aspect as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's this great scene at the end when she has decided to go back into treatment. And I asked a few of my favorite people on the crew to come and be in the group with me.
Mm.
And I would say most of them, for real, turned out to be sober.
Wow.
So I think people who believe in sobriety for themselves ended up working on this movie.
Mm.
And I think, after COVID, we all became more involved perhaps with alcohol and had to, take a second look at our relationship to even wine. And I just felt it was very resonating with the people I know. It's about a lot of different things, and love is a very powerful thing in the movie. Love from Frank Getchell, who Kevin Kline plays, but the love from her daughters, and frankly, the love for herself, which I think Hildy has lost that for a while, and she has to come back to herself.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you. And then this also resonated for me, this idea of, I'm from New England, so being a New Englander and having the stiff upper lip, and we don't talk about our problems and all of that. And I wonder if you would talk a little bit about that notion of the film as well.
Totally. She's a Yankee through and through. And, I had an English mother, so it's completely stiff upper lip. Don't talk about yourself. No one wants to hear about it. And that's, Hildy has many reasons for not wanting to talk about the past and for putting a lot of distance between her and her childhood, because her mother had mental problems. And that's why success, I think, means so much to Hildy. And to be able to be the other kind of mother. So when her own daughters accuse her of being like her mother, who was unfortunately a kind of an alcoholic that, Hildy had to carry out of bars, Hildy's like, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. I like a glass of wine at the end of the day. I'm not in my house drinking all day, or watching soap operas, So I think that her outrage is something I really related to. And of course, she's such a smart woman, but she's not very smart when it comes to herself. She's so perceptive about everyone else in the town. In fact, they call her a witch. And she's descended from Sarah Good, one of the Salem witches. But when it comes to her own issues, I think Hildy can't see. And so she takes us into her confidence, and you can't help but be on her side because she's really funny and she's telling you the truth. She's opening her heart to you, and you want her to get whatever solace she can out of the bottle, until things turn around for her. Unfortunately, it's not that simple.
Thank you to Sigourney for taking the time to speak with me and for shedding lights on issues the film touches on. Stay tuned next week as we will have more from my conversation with the star. In the meantime, you can catch her in The Good House in theaters now. And lastly today, Pakistani activist and Nobel Prize laureate Malala Yousafzai intends to change the stories told by Hollywood from the inside out. Malala called out Hollywood for its lack of representation of Muslims and other Asian people, and she said she intends to change that. Last year, she inked a multi-year partnership with Apple to develop original programming for its streaming service, Apple TV+. The offerings will include dramas, comedies, documentaries, animation, and children's series. She said the first slate of those projects is currently in development. She called representation a consolation prize and said she wants the shows about marginalized communities to be mainstream. I'm excited to see what Malala has in store. Her story is so critical, and I just know she's going to do great things with Apple. That's all the time we have for Advocate today. For more content like this, the Advocate channel is streaming now on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and Android TV. You can also download our app on your Android or Apple devices. I'm Tracy E. Gilchrist, and I'll see you next time.